All right, fam. I've got a special edition of Your Mavs podcast today, and it's aptly titled The Advisor Awards, the first annual Advisor Awards. What does that mean, Ethan? You can read between the lines. I'm not even being cute here. This is just me talking about my picks for the end of season awards across the NBA. And you're like, okay, but this is like a Mavericks podcast. You better believe I'm going to find ways to shoehorn this conversation into talking about the Mavericks. But it's off season. There's not going to be a ton of brand new headlines that we talk through every day. There are some things that we need to keep a pulse on, but I want to report on it whenever there's more reporting on it anyway. But in yesterday's episode, we talked about a preview of the postseason. Okay. That's play-in tournament. That's playoff matchups. So far, I'm like over 2, right? Because I picked Miami to beat Charlotte. What a game, by the way. If you listen to the Bill Simmons podcast at all, he called that game last night the drunk play-in game because LaMelo Ball was making plays that made it look like he was drunk. Con Knipple was terrible and looked like he was not all the way there. The refs missed some big calls down the stretch. The Amazon Prime had technical difficulties at a crucial moment in the game. The entire game was drunk. Okay. So it's not totally my fault that I was wrong with my pick. Yes, it is. I will stand by it. I thought that Miami had every shot in the world, even after Bam Adebayo got hurt earlier in the first half. I still thought they had all the opportunity in the world to close this one out. They just couldn't get it done. They couldn't do it. Shout out Kobe White, who in an upcoming episode, by the way, and in past episodes when he was kind of like a hot trade target near the deadline, you heard me talk about Kobe White before. Last night, we saw him take some of the biggest shots of his entire life, and he was not at all afraid of the spotlight. He was not at all afraid of the moment, and he hit some of the craziest shots I've seen in a while. I don't want to say that I've ever seen, right, because there was plenty going on in March Madness. There's been some epic moments in playoff history. This isn't really even a playoff game. It was just really, really fun to watch, tightly competitive, very, very entertaining. Now, your guess is as good as mine now as to whether or not LaMelo Ball is going to be active for Friday's matchup against either Orlando or Philly, who will play tonight. And then I said I was 0-2. I also swung and a miss on I picked the Suns to beat the Trailblazers. And in this case, I'm actually really happy to be wrong. Like, the Trailblazers are fun to watch. Not a very good offensive team. Right. And you could kind of see that on full display. Apart from Denny Avdia, they don't have any real scoring threats down the stretch. And it doesn't matter. They're going to be faced up against the Thunder in the first round. We don't have any expectations of them in that first round of the playoffs. But they have an incredible defense. And that was, by the way, let me correct what I said a moment ago. They're going to play the Spurs in the first round, not the Thunder. Either way, I don't have high expectations for this team in this postseason, but with their defense being what it is, with their roster, how it's built, there's a lot of youth, a lot of talented two-way players. I think that this could turn into a very dangerous team. And I've heard now both Bill Simmons and Zach Lowe talk about the idea of Giannis Antetokounmpo being traded to the Trailblazers. Maybe if there's time later, I'll talk more about that. But that would be crazy. If the Trailblazers pulled that off, they are a definite playoff team, maybe even a championship contender next season. However, last night, Denny Avdia stole the game. My man was driving left and right. Did not matter. He was hitting crucial shots. Props to the Trailblazers. I don't care that I was wrong on that one. I do care that I was wrong about the Hornets winning. But I'm bringing Con Knipple back up really quickly, and then I'm going to move on to what we're actually talking about in today's episode. How terrible was that performance? Like I said in yesterday's episode, he better not screw this up because he's getting extra FaceTime with all the voters. Another opportunity to either confirm or deny their bias of whether or not they were going to vote for him for Rookie of the Year. He did nothing to help his case last night. We'll see what happens. Yeah, that was a really long intro. I am your host, Ethan, the Advisor Clayton. Welcome to the Wednesday afternoon party. And by party, I mean dope podcast. This is Your Mavs, a Dallas Mavericks podcast where all are welcome. Y'all better behave. By y'all better behave, I mean Hornets fans. I don't know if there are any of you present in this video or in the comment section. I got no words for you right now, except for behave. Like, I don't want to hear about any of the rookie of the year stuff. I don't want to hear about that lucky win that y'all got last night. But let us just dive right into what I have so aptly called the Advisor Awards. This may be the only time I ever call it that ever. I just ran out of things to say. I'm not feeling super creative today. I'm an investment operations associate, and today was tax day. So today was brutal. So, like, forgive me if I don't have all of my pizzazz that I normally would. And I did not have the time that I would need to, like, fully flesh out all my thoughts. I'm rambling already. Let's talk end of season awards. Okay. The first few, they're going to be like, the NBA specific, your typical most improved player, sixth man of the year, that type of thing. And then at the end, I'm going to throw some fun awards in there that are specific to the Dallas Mavericks, right? It could be like franchise best smile, like, as an example. That's not one of them, but that's just kind of as an example. You'll see where we're going with this. Let's dive in. So with each of these awards, I'm going to briefly say who I think it's going to be and a very brief explanation as to why. You guys do not come to me for NBA-wide takes, right? You for whatever reason, care what I think about the Mavericks. So I expect you to not care a super lot about, like, all of my rationale behind my end of season picks. Most improved player, that's probably the one I feel more confident about. I'm going to say Nickeil Alexander-Walker for the Atlanta Hawks. And I told you I was going to shoehorn all of this into talking about the Mavericks. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, that guy is one that I want the Mavericks to move heaven and earth to try and trade for this offseason. Atlanta, signing him for what they did this offseason, like after Minnesota kind of basically decided, hey, we don't have money in our cap space to figure this out, so we'll let him walk. Huge mistake for the Timberwolves, massive dub for the Atlanta Hawks. And, on paper, there's like very little chance that they'd be open to having a trade conversation. But I want to throw the kitchen sink at the Atlanta Hawks to get Nickeil Alexander-Walker on our team. Specifically what I'm looking for, elite point of attack defending. Have we not talked about that the entire season? Was the POA defending, or lack thereof, for the Dallas Mavericks? Nickeil Alexander-Walker being on the same court as Cooper Flagg would be stupid to watch. I don't expect anybody to get into the paint, and if they do, they're getting their stuff swatted, right? So that Nickeil Alexander-Walker has cemented himself as a household NBA name this season, whereas, if you'll remember in the playoffs last year, he was just SGA's cousin. Turns out that family has insane genes, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker has exploded this season, averaging 21 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 40% from the three-point line. Okay, my man has gone bonkers this year, and I think he is so deserving of this award, and I will die on that hill, right? I will die on that hill so fast. I'm all in for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Moving on, sixth man of the year. I will spend way less time talking about this one because I did very little research. I feel like Naz Reid is your sixth man of the year, and I don't necessarily want to hear any arguments or discussion on that. I think the other name that had been out there pretty confidently was Jaime Jaquez Jr. from the Miami Heat. And very much like what I said about Con Knipple, he had an opportunity with all eyes across the league on that game to cement his campaign as sixth man of the year. And he had probably his worst showing of the entire season. He let LaMelo Ball get that easy layup to win the game. Some of the worst defense coming out of a timeout that I've ever seen. So Naz Reid, congratulations. This will be, I believe, his second trophy in that category. So yeah, Naz Reid, sixth man of the year. And probably the first podcast I recorded for your Mavs, I was talking about D'Angelo Russell being a sixth man of the year type of candidate, and I could not have been more incorrect. And I hope you don't go back and watch that video because that was stupid. I can't believe I ever said that or thought that, but Naz Reid is your guy. Okay, if we're talking about defensive player of the year, this is another one I don't really expect any arguments or any discussion over, and that's Victor Wembanyama. Like, who are we kidding? This guy had it locked up pretty much from game one because the narrative all season has been if Wemby plays the amount of games required of him, He will not only win Defensive Player of the Year, but he's going to be in the MVP conversation. He will be likely first team All NBA. All of that aside, I am so very, very confident in saying that Wemby is your Defensive Player of the Year. Let's move on. Why don't we? We've got three more like main NBA awards to talk through. I'm going to save the best for last, and you might already know where I'm going with this, which one I'm going to talk about last. For MVP, this should not come as a surprise to anyone. I'm going to go ahead and pick SGA as back-to-back MVP winner, not because I want him to, but if we're talking about like the top 3 or 4 MVP candidates, that's going to be SGA, that's going to be Jokic, that's going to be Wemby and Luka, right? Wemby is an amazing two-way player. We just talked about him, and he has clearly won Defensive Player of the Year. But as far as MVP is concerned, I hate the definition of best player on the best team, but I don't know if that necessarily counts whenever you're describing SGA, because he is having such an incredible run on both sides of the ball. Okay, he didn't score as many points a game this season as he did last season. He didn't have to, right? This is a deeper, more talented team. Somehow, every year they get better and better and better, and they needed less from him on the the scoring side, but he still did it in a big way. And from what I can see, other than the unethical foul baiting that everybody's going to be talking about, he doesn't really take plays off, right? He plays hard both sides of the ball nonstop, and he has seen no regression in his game. In fact, like I think he's 56% from the field this year, putting up 31 points a game, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. The actual number is 55% from the field. Insane efficiency, insane two-way play. That's your MVP this season. Okay, the last one before the big one is I'm gonna talk about Coach of the Year, and I'm throwing this one to Joe Mazzulla. No real shocker there. I've talked about it 1,000 times on this podcast. This is not a Celtics podcast, so in fact they're one of my least favorite teams in the NBA. I've talked about this quite a bit, that everybody and their dog expected Boston to be on a gap year this year. Like, hey, Tatum's out. We're going to run it with what we got. We're going to make moves to help our books and help our future cap situation. And anything that gets us below the luxury tax, we're going to consider a win. Meanwhile, Jaylen Brown puts up MVP type numbers. I think he's going to, if not top 5, he's definitely top 7 or 8 in MVP voting this year. Incredible play. Derek White with 100 steals, 100 blocks as a 6'3" guard. Are you kidding me? We saw emergence from basically a no-name Nemish Keita. He's been a revelation for the Celtics this season. You still got Peyton Pritchard. You have all these pieces that it's like, okay, they're good individual players, but I don't expect much from the Celtics, at least until Tatum comes back. And here we are. They're very firmly the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, and Tatum is back back. He's looking good, and he's done nothing but elevate the Celtics play since he's returned. And so the guy orchestrating all this, the guy pushing all the buttons, pulling all the strings to make all this happen, Joe Mazzulla, yeah, you are so unbelievably deserving of Coach of the Year. I'll say no more on that topic. What's the main NBA award that I haven't talked about yet? Oh yeah, the big one, the one that matters the most to Dallas Mavericks fans. We're talking about Rookie of the Year. Okay, if you're brand new to this podcast, you have heard me say nothing hateful about Con Knipple this entire season, except for maybe until today's episode where I'm like, no, he stunk last night. That was a terrible showing. He got his benched like midway through the third quarter, and then in the clutch moments when you're looking for 3-point shooting, what happened to the best 3-point shooter in the NBA? He got benched, right? Lights were too bright for my guy. However, okay, I've been a big supporter of what Con Knipple has done. I've been a big supporter of the surge that we've seen from the Hornets. You've heard me say a gazillion times I want Con Knipple on this Maverick squad. But I am not going to sit here and tell you that he is a better basketball player than Cooper Flagg. I'm not going to say that this Rookie of the Year award is his and it's not even close, because that is insane. I've heard so many media personalities that make a lot of money doing what I do saying stupid stuff like it's not even close. Wrong. My official vote, again, if you're new to this podcast, this will be the first time you're hearing me say this. I think there is clear evidence that this needs to be a co-rookie of the year type of season. And it would be the fourth in NBA history and the second since like the 99-2000 season when it was Elton Brand and Stevie Franchise as like co-rookie of the year. Okay. I think, of all the times that we've seen that in NBA history, this is like the most clear because not just one of those guys have been breaking records. Both of them have been shattering records all over the place. On Cooper Flagg's side, if we're looking at all the counting stats, it's not even close, right? He wins in points, rebounds, assists, no big deal. If you're only looking at advanced analytics, then it's not even close in Con Knippel's favor. I don't care about the advanced analytics. I don't want to use one factor saying that Cooper Flagg has better counting stats than the other guy. I'm going to say that both of them have been insane record breakers this entire season, doing things that rookies are not supposed to do, doing things that teenagers are not supposed to be doing in the NBA. So I think both should be heavily rewarded for that. Let's give them both rookie of the year. You will not hear one complaint from me. The only complaining you might hear if that happens is from the Hornets corner, okay? And we don't care what they think at this moment, do we? But yeah, those are my votes again. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, most improved player. Naz Reid, sixth man of the year. Wemby, defensive player of the year. SGA, MVP. Joe Mazzulla, coach of the year. And then Con and Coop as co-rookies of the year. That's what I have to say about it all. And I know nobody asked. It's like one of those memes, if you'll remember. Like, no one. Silence. Absolutely no one. Silence. Me. How about you hear about all my thoughts on the end of season awards? That's kind of my approach into today's episode. But all of this has been specific to what's happening across the NBA so far. Why don't we have a little bit more fun here and talk some specific Mavs team awards? Let's do that. All right, the first Mavs specific end of season award I'm throwing out there is best in-game dunker. Okay? And I don't even have to say much. If I say in-game dunks and you're thinking Mavs, you're thinking about one person. But across the league, there's maybe a handful of guys that might come to mind that are like really solid. Like, I'm going to end your life whenever I put my hand on this rim. Like, as I say that, I can't even think of five, but I thought about Zion Williamson. Don't ask me why that was the first name that came to my mind. Holy smokes, I can't think of any. Why don't we just move on to who actually is the best? And that's Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg is the best in-game dunker in the NBA. Do not at me. Whether it's lefty, righty, over somebody, like putting a body on somebody, it does not matter. He's going to finish. He's going to finish with authority. And the strength and athleticism that he's shown us this season, it really lends itself to some high flying and some absolutely insane posters. Cooper Flagg is not only the co-rookie of the year this year, he is the best in-game dunker. That's my vote. Okay. A little less fun to talk about. Who has the worst jump shot in the NBA? Who has the ugliest jump shot in the NBA? He does play for the Dallas Mavericks. We haven't seen him in a while, actually. I don't know if you want to chalk it up as one of those fake/tanking injuries that just, looks good on paper to keep the league off of our backs. I'm talking about Caleb Martin. Okay. Caleb Martin has the ugliest jump shot I have ever seen. Okay. And I guess I haven't watched every game, every player this season, but like I would be hard pressed. In fact, I'm going to challenge you. If you think there's somebody in the NBA that has an uglier jump shot than Caleb Martin, sound off in the comment section. Then I'll argue with you there. But yeah, Cooper Flagg is your best in-game dunker. Caleb Martin is the ugliest jump shooter in the NBA. What are some other fun awards that we can talk about? The You Can't Touch This award. This is a specific coach award for Jason Kidd. When I say you can't touch this award, like everybody that has been involved with the Luka trade has come and gone, right? Like piece by piece, all those guys have either quit their jobs and they're no longer employed in the NBA or they've gone somewhere else. Somehow Jason Kidd keeps surviving, right? And we can hang our hats on the Western Conference Finals appearance that we had in 2022. We can hang our hats on the the finals appearance in 2024 when we got it handed to us by the Celtics. But like every other season, which, now equates to 3 out of his 5, we have missed the playoffs. We have been a terrible, not very good basketball team. So something about Jason Kidd has made him untouchable. It's made him super special in our front office's eyes, where it's like, hey, everybody else can go, but Jason Kidd's got to stay. There's something to that. I don't know if that means he's being promoted into a front office position. I don't know if – here's a fun hypothetical scenario. If the Knicks get bounced in the first round in the playoffs this year, is Mike Brown going to get fired, and then the Kidd to Knicks stuff starts heating up again? All right, fam. I had to take a little, I guess, side quest here. I don't know if you've heard any of the background noise. I have not 1, not 2, but 3 toddlers that are all in a really bad mood. They've been sick. They're whining a lot. Long story short, I'm going to need to land this plane here pretty quickly so I can step in and help. So I'm going to award 2 more awards for Mavericks players. Again, don't take any of this stuff seriously. I just feel like we needed to talk about something Mavericks related. So best personality award goes to Derek Lively II. He is so unbelievably loved everywhere he goes. He puts up really funny videos on Instagram whenever he is active. As you know about him, he goes, I'm inactive every now and then. And I think he if you'll remember, he lost his mom a couple years ago, and there's waves of grief that come in and come out, and basically he takes a break from social media. Whenever he comes back, he's bringing fire content. He's showing like Lego sets that he built. He's doing community events. Like, he's very philanthropic in that regard. So the best personality award, and hopefully the most healthy foot award for next season, is Derek Lively II. Now, this last one, I'm going to say I've spent probably more time than I should trying to figure out, just looking at what Mavs fans are saying about this player on Twitter. Basically, the award is the fan favorite for this season. And, there were 3 or 4 really strong possibilities, right? The obvious one would be Cooper Flagg, right? Everybody fell in love with Cooper Flagg immediately, and for good reason. But I wouldn't say that Cooper Flagg is the fan favorite right now. I'm going to say it's the guy that went to bat for Cooper Flagg on Twitter, saying he's the best rookie of all time. It's the guy that said, I want to be a Maverick for forever. I want to see what Cooper Flagg is doing when he's breaking all these records. I'm talking about Najee freaking Marshall. Okay. Not only has his play been at a super high level this season, right? He became the floater god. He shot something like 70% whenever his feet were in the paint this season. But being the fan favorite doesn't just mean that you killed it on the court. It means that everywhere you go, Mavs fans are like, Najee Marshall's the freaking man. Like, I will charge the gates of hell with a water pistol for Najee Marshall because of all the things he said in defense of his teammates. Anytime there has been any sort of altercation, who's right in the middle, stepping between our player and the aggressor? It's Najee Marshall. That's the guy that you want on your team. That's the guy that you want having your back. He's done it in the games. He's done it on Twitter. He's done it everywhere else. And I think that's made him a fan favorite. That's who I'm giving that award to this season. So I hope we get to award him fan favorite more in the future. Who knows what's going to happen? Like you heard me say it the other day, like in my mind, when you look at the books for next season and how we need to like strategically build this roster, there's going to be a tough decision that has to be made between PJ Washington and Najee Marshall because they virtually play the same position. They're the same age. They're the same size. They just have different skill sets. And if we're going for pure vibes, yeah, we need to keep Najee Marshall around forever. If we're going for all-around skill set, who can do more on the court for you, who can be more flexible, that's going to be PJ Washington. But that's not what we're talking about right now. The fan favorite for the Dallas Mavericks, I'm going to die on the hill, is Najee Marshall. Okay, what awards did I miss for the Dallas Mavericks? What awards should I be thinking and talking about across the NBA? Anything fun that I missed? Let me know in the comment section. I like talking about what's happening across the league, and then as I said earlier, trying to find ways to shoehorn that into a Dallas Mavericks conversation. That is me to a T. But fam, that is all I have for you today. Hopefully you're enjoying some of this more broad content that is more NBA specific rather than niching down to the Mavs during this offseason. But there again will still be so much to talk about. There will be some headlines that come out, especially as we get closer to mid-May when we're supposed to be hiring our next GM. There's going to be a lot of conversation about that. But in the meantime, make sure you hit like, follow, subscribe, all that jazz, and share this video with your best friend. I dare you to do it. I dare you. But without further ado, y'all be good. Party on.